In our last podcast, Anxiety and Depression in Self-Isolation, we addressed the many ways in which symptoms of anxiety and depression manifest themselves within members of our Painted Brain community. However, after that episode went live, it became evident to us that a follow-up was necessary to discuss the ways in which members of our own community have been dealing with these symptoms every day. In this latest episode, we will be sharing some tips for dealing with anxiety and depression, as well as some ways Painted Brain is helping contribute to solutions. Last time I spoke with Dr. Shannon Dunn, who mentioned that for individuals living with anxiety and depression, maintaining a healthy diet, light exercise, and trying to keep in contact with family or friends were some of the best ways to keep yourself feeling physically and mentally healthy long term. Here's Tristan Screeman, who joins us once again to talk about how he has tried exercising to relieve stress and maintain a healthy lifestyle.
Some of the things I am doing now are walking more, doing a little bit of light jogging and running. I'm employing some of the skills I learned at Painted Brain, like in walking group, just trying to focus a little bit more on walking and a little bit of diet, exercise, eating a little better. I'm cooking all my meals and preparing all my meals, so that has been a plus for sure.
But are diet and exercise enough to immediately relieve these symptoms? For most people living with mental illness, some days are definitely better than others. So what are some ways to help alleviate these symptoms immediately? Today, I sat down with occupational therapist Rina Takamura to talk about exactly that. In her professional opinion, one of the best ways to deal with feeling overwhelmed is by making a schedule for the day and sticking to it.
And use activities like exercise, healthy eating and going outside, talking to friends. Use these occupations as a way to also manage your symptoms. Using exercise, healthy habits and routines, kind of like that lifestyle redesign approach, getting enough sleep, reaching out to friends, doing things that are creative, drawing, sketching. I would say most people can probably agree that for everybody, this is a time where there's an increase in symptoms of anxiety and depression and just stress in general, due to the fact that this is such a novel situation, right, that no one's ever experienced before. A lot of times when there's the unknown, it can be really, really daunting and really stressful and anxiety inducing. But so trying to come up with some type of plan or trying to kind of make sense of the unknown, a lot of looming things over your head, trying to okay, what's one step that I can make towards this stressful thing on my mind? Have these really short-term things that you could do to work toward the greater thing causing you stress, because it's likely that the overall issue will be something that you could solve, or maybe it's not even feasible right now.
Painted Brain's communications director, Kevin Narouz, has already utilized some of these tips in his own personal life. Like many others diagnosed with depression, Narouz has been looking for some ways to treat his symptoms of fatigue, anger, and low motivation during self-isolation, and has found that being organized himself has helped tremendously.
A recent thing I started doing, if I have a problem, any problem, sometimes I find that writing it out helps me. Last year I started making a habit of writing my to-do list for the next day. I'll write it out, and if it's a problem that I have that I'm ruminating about, I'll lay it out, the whole thing, on paper and describe it in detail. It can be a personal problem, or it can be a work-related problem, or anything that happens to be bothering me at the moment. My idea was that writing it down, if it was something I tend to procrastinate on, I'm likely to follow up on it sooner than later. It does help me clear my mind a little bit more.
And while staying organized and making a schedule is helpful, Takamura says one of the most effective stress relievers during times of uncertainty is, unsurprisingly, making art and being creative.
Painted Brain, they use art as a means of therapy, because doing things that are creative can be very therapeutic and relaxing, and it can also bring a sense of community if you're doing it with others.
I asked both Narouz and Screeman about ways that they have tried being creative to relieve stress at home.
I find that playing the piano helps me. If I'm feeling upset about something, or I heard upsetting news, having anxious thoughts about a situation that I'm in, it offers a good distraction. I also write, and I'm a blogger, and I find that writing also is a very useful distraction. Writing on a regular basis, plus taking frequent and short piano breaks during the day, are all ways that actually help me stay sane during this coronavirus lockdown.
Some of the things I do to stay creative are coloring, drawing, painting, and a little bit of sketching too. I find that painting and starting a new canvas can be quite difficult, but drawing is almost like a pastime as well as an art. So whenever I'm stuck, I just start a new drawing, and usually that works. Also, coloring is very interesting because it's a good mix of staying creative, but also almost like busy work. And when you're done with it and you see the filled in color page, there is like a sense of accomplishment. So I do turn to coloring also.
Very recently, Painted Brain released an adult coloring book created and produced by some of our community members. According to Takamura, products like this and art in general can potentially be very helpful to people with anxiety and depression.
So I think the coloring book definitely can help, just because it is something that, it can be therapeutic for the person. It's also person to person, so some people might not have the same views, and that's totally fine. Everybody's kind of unique in their needs and, what works best for them. But we have found that for a lot of people that art is very, very relaxing and therapeutic, and so just kind of engaging and having a coloring book just to kind of do on your own time when you're at home. Maybe you have other people that you're living with. You guys can do it together. So the coloring book is just a way of kind of like therapeutically, doing this activity and kind of like relieving symptoms by doing that art.
Like Takamura said, finding ways to reach out and work with others can be beneficial for your mental well-being. In addition to the coloring book, Painted Brain is also hosting a series of online webinars to keep the community engaged and bring together members who may be feeling isolated.
So Painted Brain offers a whole host of ways to stay connected remotely during COVID. Some of these are Zoom groups. I'm hosting 2 of these Zoom groups. One of them is called Let's Talk and Stay Connected. It's an open forum for people to come together and share ways that they're staying connected during COVID. The other one's called Pure Check-In and has a little bit more of a technology focus and talks about ways people are using technology to stay connected. This includes things like social media, also ways people can post and stay connected in different ways. Painted Brain also has a vast web page that includes a blog and all kinds of creative outlets for people to join in with.
Painted Brain's Chief Operating Officer, Rachelle Chambers, joins us once again to speak about the importance of staying in close contact with friends and loved ones, and how the simple gesture of reaching out could make all the difference to someone living with a mental illness.
I'm also learning to connect with other people virtually. I'm just letting you know, for folks with anxiety, it's kind of hard to reach out sometimes for support. But what I found was that if you let people know that just one person know, other people will reach out. Because I found comfort in unexpected people reaching out to me and asking me, was I okay? Because they hadn't heard from me. So connecting, even if you don't think that someone needs the help, you don't know how much it would help someone in just reaching out.
Chambers then went on to preview some of the webinars that can help individuals stay connected, even though we may physically be distant.
We'll have a support group that's about COVID coping skills and just 101. And then we'll also have a support group, an art empathy group that you'll be able to just chime in and engage in an art activity and learn some skills about being empathetic. And then we'll have a peer digital support group where you can get tips on how to stay safe online and best apps and websites to stay connected. And just a way for our speakers bureau, for folks with lived experience, to just talk.
If you wish to get more tips on dealing with anxiety and depression, or want to connect with other members of our Painted Brain community, please visit the link in the description for more information on when and how to access these seminars. Stay safe, stay healthy, and just know that you are not alone. This has been Savannah Thomas reporting on behalf of the Painted Brain.